Good Monday morning, and thanks for checking out your latest long-range forecast video. Michael Clark here with BAMWX.com and theweatherporthole.com. We're going to get right into our forecast today. As we have a forecast that's evolved and kind of trended colder, and for a couple of reasons, we're going to tell you why that is, and just how long we anticipate it to hang out. So, precipitation the last 14 days at the percent of normal precipitation, you can see where we had the big rainstorm that occurred here over eastern Iowa, north central Illinois, that resulted in 200 to 400% of the normal precip right there. Elsewhere, Indiana, southern Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, a lot of places here have gone kind of just flash dry, if you will. I mean, it's gotten very dry very quick. No rainfall for many places here over the last several days. All right, and that pattern essentially looks to continue. We don't have any huge rainmakers in the forecast unless you're down here in what I like to call the Arklatex region, which is Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, as beta works its way up, or beta, or however you want to say it, works its way into the southern part of the U.S. There is going to be some rainfall associated with this in some places that are dry. So I guess that can be good or bad depending on where you're at with harvest. Temperature departure the last 14 days. It's gotten noticeably a lot cooler the last 7 days the further east that you go, but it's been cool. All right, big trough centered here over the central U.S. with some southeastern ridging, warmer down to the south and east. It's just not been incredibly warm, but overall, to start the month out, it's been overall a nice, cool month. It's been the exact opposite, really, of what we experienced last year. Now, we talked about beta and its rainfall over the next 48 hours using our high-resolution computer model. Again, getting into southeastern and southern Texas, I think in the Houston area around the port, 3 to 5 inches perhaps is dialed up here. Moving further north into northeast Texas, northern Louisiana, some heavier convective rains, possibly, 3 to 6 inches in some spots here. Right along the border here of Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana, where some of the heavier rains may be possible. Elsewhere, no rain anywhere. This system here getting all the attention. You may have some light showers in Minnesota, maybe some light showers up in North Dakota the next 2 days, but nothing to run home about. This is a look here at 7-day rainfall forecast from a blended model solution. Again, you can see the Deep South stealing all the action. There may be some rain chances as this thing moves up north and east into the Ohio Valley, into the Mid-Atlantic over the weekend, but I don't know. I'm not very excited about it right now. A quarter, maybe 3/10 of an inch here in the next 7 days. Anything beyond 5 days right now, I'd be a little suspect of it in terms of rainfall. But this is a 7-day look, and you may get a little bit of rain here going forward. But the damage has been done. It's a little too late for rain to really do a lot of helping. This was the 8 to 15 day forecast from Friday morning. All right, this was the 18th. This is what the EPS model looked like. Now this is that same period. This is the 5 to 12 day rolled in. So we're running into, obviously, the model trending significantly cooler into this period. This is the latest, again, old. Here's new EPS data. And there's a reason why for a lot of this going on. Right? I want to talk about this. I want to show you first off, the 500 millibar forecast and what's going on first and foremost. This is, I believe this is Teddy out here in the good old North Atlantic. See this here? I want you to watch what happens as that is picked up by the northern branch of the jet. Okay? Big trough develops. In its wake is a rather significantly large North Atlantic ridge that develops and sets up a little bit of a block. Now, there's a couple of things going on as this occurs. Okay? The first thing, I want to show you this at hour 72. There's an Eastern Pacific little hurricane action or typhoon or whatever you want to call it in the Eastern Pacific. You've got Teddy over here. Okay, and what's going to happen is, as this is picked up, the ridge will pump up behind it. As this moves west, this is going to pump up the PNA. So you're going to get a highly amplified pattern. By about day 7 or day 8, you're going to strongly increase the PNA all right, the ridging. You're also looking at a trough that was picked up over the North Pacific from a little weak Western Pacific tropical disturbance that's going to come down in here, and it's all going to be perfectly timed out for colder trends in the modeling, and we've seen it the last 3 days. Look at this. Here's day 8 versus day 1. It's a totally different pattern. And the only thing that can cause something to shake up like this is these tropical disturbances. But you have a highly amplified trough ridge pattern. You know, in meteorology and synoptic meteorology, where there's a ridge, there's a trough. You know, you look, you see a ridge, and it's a strong one. Downstream, you're going to directly have a trough, and you see it here on the afternoon of the 28th of September. So we're seeing the modeling respond to that. All right, a lot of this is induced by the MJO, by the tropical forcing patterns here that are going on across the northern hemisphere. So here's the next 2-week temperatures. We do get warm, as we advertised last week, that it would warm up in the plains. But the reinforcing shot of colder air into the 25th of September to the 1st of October is pretty impressive. Our forecast isn't actually as cold as some of the guidance is. It's possible that the forecast may need to go cooler. We just have to kind of figure out, you know, how we're going to manage this hybrid negative NAO and this positive PNA that's going to set up. Okay. When you look at your teleconnection forecast, you may not actually see a negative NAO showing up, but that's because of where this ridge is being placed, this North Atlantic ridge. But look at this week's forecast compared to 1 year ago today. I mean, we were hot 1 year ago for week 2. Back in 2019. It's the polar opposite pattern. We've completely switched it up here. So interesting enough to note that that's obviously going to mean a drier pattern as well. It was very wet in 19, excuse me, and if you recall, causing delays in harvesting, and it was wet. It was very, very wet. In fact, week 2 last year, there was a swath of 400 to 700% of the normal rainfall from the Texas panhandles into the heart of the Ag Belt, into the Great Lakes. So it's very wet, to whereas this year it's going to be the opposite. Right, much drier, wetter to the east and northeast, where the precipitation is forecast to be 200% of the normal next week. So going forward, beyond the 2-week period, we kind of want to see, you know, where's this going to go? You know, what's the pattern going to do? I wanted to show you this, and I should have put it before the week 2 temperature outlook, but this is the October correlation for the negative NAO. And again, it's a pretty strong correlation. It's a stout correlation for cold in October, and with that North Atlantic ridge developing, it's certainly going to aid in the risks for cooler to end out the month of September and start October. This is a great illustration of what I was talking about, though. This is a loop here of the North Pacific trough coming in up over the PNA ridge, enhanced from this Eastern Pacific tropical cyclone. Okay, you can watch how that moves west, pumps up the heights. Big PNA, right? The trough comes in over the top, drops down into the east. It gets stuck because of the North Atlantic ridge. Right? You can see how it all works together. Very unique set of events ongoing. The other thing I want to point your attention to is the extended forecast in East Asia. Another big trough looks to swing through in the 6 to 10, which may only enhance the potential for the cold or the troughiness in the east to hang around longer. The ensembles of the modeling have trended stronger and stronger with the PNA each and every run. That's obvious. That's going to keep happening. All right, and that's going to keep the forecast cooler because of what's going on with the tropical activity. The GEFS and the EPS are doing the same thing. Okay. All right, so here's the illustration. Meteorologist Brett Waltz put together a nice illustration. This is in your notes slide, but this is the October MJO phases 2 and 3, and what it looks like, you know, basically since 1990. You know, what's interesting is we do have there is a warmer risk to the forecast. The negative AAM is a strong correlation for warmer temperatures in October, especially in the east. But the MJO and how everything is kind of working out where these tropical cyclones have developed, and they're causing, basically disturbances in the jet stream patterns, have us working with these cooler risks for now. Okay, but again, when we look forward, we note here that if we look at the 35-day outlook from the new GFS ensembles, that the MJO pulse here may propagate east a little bit further and still be strong, and possibly we're getting into MJO 4 and 5 later into October. Well, if that continues and we keep the negative AAM like I think that we will, that's still a cold look. So it's possible majority of the month of October right now, possibly even the first 20 days, might end up verifying cooler than average. All right? If we get out into phase 5, it's a little bit of a mixed signal, but it's not incredibly warm. And we know we probably have more confidence in a phase 4 negative AAM right now since 2000 at this point. Okay, so I'll show you this, and then I'll wrap up the video. This is currently the favored September outcome, or October outcome from the CFS, but what's interesting about the CFS V2, it loses the MJO pulse altogether. It doesn't really have one. So the CFS probably is going to struggle with its extended outlooks here in the next couple of weeks until it has a hint or a clue of the MJO pulse that is there and that will possibly propagate across the equatorial Pacific, as I just showed you with that model. So for now, the cooler risk has to be, it has to be entertained, and we have to keep an eye on it. And we see that MJO phase 4, as it moves east, is possibly going to continue to allow this trough or this cooler risk to hang out in the east and southeastern U.S. So we'll monitor, but that's also going to mean the pattern stays drier as well. We'll watch for changes. We'll keep you posted. Have a great week.